Imagine this, an island built on garbage, sitting in one of the most earthquake-prone countries in the world, transformed into the stage for a futuristic city meant to host nearly 30 million visitors. At first glance, it sounds absurd, almost reckless, yet in Osaka Bay, that's exactly what engineers and architects are doing. Welcome to Yumeshima, or Dream Island, the unlikely host of Expo 2025, a global event showcasing not only human creativity, but also our sheer determination to make the impossible possible. With a budget now exceeding $1.6 billion, Expo 2025 is more than just another World's Fair. It's a living experiment in sustainable design, innovative construction, and bold engineering built on foundations that quite literally should not exist. From garbage to global stage, the story of Yumeshima begins not with ambition, but with necessity. In the 1970s, Osaka's waste problem had reached a breaking point. The city needed somewhere to dump construction debris, leftover gravel, and sand. The solution was to pour it all into the bay, gradually creating a new island. Over decades, this landfill grew to cover nearly 400 hectares. For years, it was a purely utilitarian space, used as a container port and forgotten by most of the city. But its shaky composition was an open secret. The ground was soft, loose, and waterlogged, a dangerous mix that meant any strong earthquake could cause soil liquefaction, turning the land into something like quicksand. In a country as seismically volatile as Japan, this was a nightmare scenario. Then came the opportunity of Expo 2025. By securing the right to host this global showcase, Osaka suddenly had a reason to reinvent Yumeshima. The city could turn its problem child, a landfill no one wanted, into a centerpiece of international attention. But to do so, it had to solve one of the toughest engineering puzzles in modern history: how to build a city on ground that wanted to sink, reinventing the ground beneath their feet. Before a single pavilion could rise, engineers waged a years-long battle underground. Their task was not just to stabilize Yumeshima, but to transform it into land capable of holding colossal structures and millions of people. First came the sand blanket method. A 1.5-meter thick layer of sea sand was spread across the seabed. This blanket worked like a giant sponge, draining water from the deep clay below and creating a base that wouldn't shift at the first tremor. Then came the sand drain technique, where millions of vertical sand columns were driven into the earth. Imagine inserting millions of giant drinking straws into the soil. This gave trapped water pathways to escape as the weight of the island pressed down. What would naturally take decades of slow compression was sped up dramatically. For the upper layers, engineers used the sand compaction pile method. Massive vibrating probes plunged into the soil, shaking and compacting the loose sand until it became dense and firm. For the heaviest structures, they turned to deep soil mixing, blending cement directly with soft earth to create subterranean columns as strong as rock. As a final safeguard, the entire site was raised more than 5 meters above sea level, high enough to offer protection against tsunamis. By the end of this invisible war underground, Yumeshima was no longer just a pile of garbage and sand. It was a fortress of carefully engineered stability, ready to carry the weight of Expo 2025. A wooden giant, at the heart of the Expo sits its most breathtaking creation, the Grand Ring. This isn't just another building, it's the largest wooden structure ever constructed by humans. The numbers are jaw-dropping. The ring stretches 2 kilometers in circumference, roughly the size of the entire border of Monaco. It rises 20 meters tall, about the height of a 6-story building, and spans over 60,000 square meters, larger than 6 rugby fields combined. But size is only part of the story. What makes the Grand Ring remarkable is how it was built. Instead of steel and concrete, engineers looked to wood, specifically glulam, glued laminated timber, where smaller planks are bonded together to form beams stronger than natural logs. About 70% of this wood comes from Japanese cedar and cypress, supporting local industries while reducing the project's carbon footprint. Even more fascinating is the construction technique. The structure borrows from nuki joinery, an ancient Japanese method where beams slot into posts without nails or screws. This design, used for centuries in temples like Kyoto's Kiyomizu-dera, allows structures to flex slightly during earthquakes, absorbing shocks rather than snapping. To meet modern safety standards, hidden steel reinforcements were added, but the soul of the building remains rooted in ancient wisdom. The Grand Ring isn't just a walkway, it's a statement piece connecting more than 150 national pavilions while shielding visitors from sun and rain. More than that, it symbolizes harmony between past and present, tradition and innovation, nature and technology, pavilions that disappear. Expo 2025 isn't only about showcasing national pride, It's also a laboratory for new approaches to construction. Many pavilions are designed with a radical philosophy, designed for disassembly. Instead of permanent structures, these buildings are meant to be dismantled and reused, leaving no trace behind. The Netherlands Pavilion embodies this perfectly. Every component, from steel beams to wall panels, is recorded in a digital material passport, an online inventory describing what each part is made of. When the expo ends, the pavilion can be taken apart and every piece reused elsewhere. The Luxembourg Pavilion is built on massive, prefabricated concrete blocks that can be moved instead of poured in place. Its steel frame is bolted, not welded, so it can be dismantled with ease. Other countries are experimenting with sustainable materials. The Japan Pavilion includes a biogas plant that converts food waste from expo restaurants into electricity. The UAE Pavilion is built using daterete, a concrete alternative made from crushed date seeds. Singapore's pavilion sparkles with 17,000 aluminum discs, 70% of which are recycled. The Blue Ocean Dome. Yumeshima's weak soil forced architects to think light. One of the most striking examples is the Blue Ocean Dome by architect Shigeru Ban. This trio of interconnected domes showcases different futuristic materials: laminated bamboo, recycled cardboard tubes, and carbon fiber reinforced plastic, CFRP. CFRP is a game changer. It's 5 times lighter than steel, but just as strong, allowing massive structures to be built without heavy foundations. On an island like Yumeshima, that's not just clever, it's essential. A budget that kept growing. Grand dreams come at a grand cost. What began as a more modest project has ballooned into a venture costing over $1.6 billion. The money is split between Japan's national government, Osaka's city administration, and private businesses. Delays have added fuel to the fire. A national shortage of skilled construction workers has slowed progress, and at one point, several international pavilions risked missing deadlines entirely. Critics have asked whether so much public money should be spent on a temporary event. But history shows that world expos often outlive their skeptics. The Eiffel Tower, for instance, was built for the 1889 Paris World's Fair and meant to be temporary. Today, it's France's most iconic landmark. Could the Grand Ring follow the same path? A symbol of resilience. Expo 2025 is more than an exhibition, it's a bold experiment. It shows how humanity can turn waste into opportunity, how engineering can tame even the most fragile land, and how ancient wisdom can merge with modern innovation to build something entirely new. Yumeshima was once a forgotten landfill. Now it stands as a testing ground for sustainable design, experimental materials, and futuristic architecture. Whether the Grand Ring is dismantled or preserved as Osaka's own Eiffel Tower, the legacy of Expo 2025 is already assured. It proves that even on the shakiest ground, we can build a dream. For Osaka, Dream Island lives up to its name. What began as a dumping ground has become a beacon of possibility, reminding the world that sometimes the most improbable places give birth to the most extraordinary visions. And that's the incredible story of how Osaka turned a garbage island into the stage for Expo 2025. An engineering marvel that blends ancient wisdom with futuristic innovation. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the world's boldest mega projects, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Let us know in the comments which mega project you'd like us to cover next. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.